G4 and D5. Magnus Carlsen plays the Grob, a terrible opening against one of the blitz beasts of the world, Danya Naroditsky. It's online chess 2023, a casual game, and it turns into an absolute classic in my view. Now the pawn's already under fire, so Magnus defends with h3. That's 2 pawn moves, no pieces developed. Danya takes the centre, another pawn move, Magnus trashing the principles of chess. We get captures, queen recaptures. You're supposed to develop your minor pieces early doors, not the lady, because of stuff like this. Knight c6 developing, kicking that queen. It retreats and bishop c5. Danya's got the centre, ahead in development. Black is just better already. Magnus fianchettos, singing as he does so, operatically, top professional. Knight f6 from Danya. Looks like you're running into g5 and then the centre's crumbling, which you are, but if you play that, you're giving black such an initiative for a pawn. Big attack comes. We won't go down the rabbit hole. We'll stick with this brilliant game. So knight c3, d5 under fire. Here Danya thrusts forward with that pawn. Knight e4, captures, bishop recaptures, and bishop e6. Here comes a huge attack. Knight f3 played, queen d7, a3, keeping an eye on knight b4, and now you can immediately castle queenside, but Danya starts with pawn h5, undermining this pawn chain here. Now how many of us are going g5 to try and keep lines closed? Playable, but then you really open the eyes of this bishop. So Magnus goes knight g5 and starts just a classic Magnus combination here, because we get captures, knight takes first, intermezzo, queen takes, now pawn recaptures, and after this one comes off with check, bishop takes back, we get queen takes on g4, black simply a pawn up, but look at this. Queen e4 check, just the most Magnus move ever, right? So many people, you're a pawn down, you keep the queens on, you look for tricks, that kind of thing. Magnus is just like, nah, let's go for the end game here. I've got the bishops, I don't care I'm a pawn down, and the best part is he starts pushing for a win soon. So king e7, king needs to be activated in the centre. We get b4, driving back this bishop, and now b5. More space gain, knight a5 to stay with this pawn, but bishop d2. The knight under fire, the pawn then under fire, but Danya finds a great way to play. Knight c4, sure, take my b pawn, which Magnus does. The rook now moves, bishop c6, but the a pawn is dropping. Black still doing great here. He's threatening to go to fork town on c2. Danya is, so that's why the king sidesteps. And now you can take this pawn, then the rook takes this pawn. So instead, we see knight takes on b5. Good move, and you don't want to capture here to then capture here. Black is then doing well. So instead, Magnus goes rook a5, pressuring this knight here. It therefore jumps forward. Rook b1 check, a huge threat, and so that's why Magnus now gives up the bishops. Pawn recaptures, he takes on a7, and although black is a pawn ahead, we've got opposite coloured bishops, the pawns are doubled, and suddenly we're into a level position, right? Should just be a draw. But Magnus has made a career on grinding these positions. Watch an endgame go at work. This is a joke. So rook h8 from Danya, e3 played. Rook b8 back, and okay, you wasted some time, it really doesn't matter. None of these moves materially change the evaluation of the position. Both players just micro improving the pieces, right? Nothing too much changing. The rook invading, king f3, rook h1, Danya coming round the back. It's good play. Magnus pressures the c pawn, f4 now on the cards, but even after rook d2, f4 takes, bishop driven back, You can take here, but Magnus doesn't even rush it. This entire endgame, he's just like playing to probe and confuse and trick and burn time. It is truly online blitz mastery. So we get king e3 played instead. The rook dives away here. Magnus doesn't take the pawn. He checks the black king. King d7, bishop b5 check, just more probing like a surgeon going to work. He's got Daniel on the operating table here. The heart's open. Now he's targeting 2 pawns here. You can't cover both. You know, there's double pressure on this one. So Daniel sidesteps the king. Rook takes here, but Daniel finds a nice trick. Starting here with bishop takes on f4 check. If Magnus captures, then rook d4 check the point and you pick up the bishop back. So instead we see king f3. I mean, all of this stuff is drawing, don't get me wrong. Even though Magnus is a pawn down, it should just be level. But that's really the point. He was a pawn down and yet still pressing. Now we're even pawns, but it's completely level. You know, you just set up this blockade on the opposite colour square. Why doesn't Magnus take this pawn? Well, then there's rook f4 check and you lose a bishop. Still, that's a drawn position, but okay, not played. We see bishop d3 played after it's attacked. Now we get rook h4. This one comes to b6 with check. King c7, rook b5. Don't blunder your bishop. Daniel just getting a little bit lower on the clock. We get another check, the king back, and this time rook e6. The bishop saved. Rook f6, pawn under fire for real, so f4, saving that one. King e4. How is Magnus going to turn the screw here? And if you love these games as much as I do, do consider smashing that subscribe button. Become a grandmaster like Magnus Carlsen through epic chess recaps. Now we see rook h5. This rook checks, the king comes up, bishop c4. Nice probing from Magnus, but still the position's drawn. Another check. Soon we're going to see the c-pawn advance to the most explosive square. Rook e1. This is an 87 move game. We're on move 62. 25 moves to go. How is Magnus going to weave his magic? It's coming, folks. Now we see king here. Check. Rook here. And Daniel in the time pressure, under the microscope of Magnus Carlsen's probing, he blunders. The bishop is attacked, yes, but you should flick in a check and then save that bishop. Instead, we see bishop c5. What could be more natural but to move the piece that's attacked? But aha, Magnus has set up the x-ray. Bishop b7 check. It pains me to watch it. The rook drops. This one comes off the board. It's a one endgame. All we have to do now is sit back and watch a master at work. This man, Magnus Carlsen, a once-in-a-lifetime player, right? You won't see this for another generation. A man who can take an opposite-coloured bishop endgame, a pawn down, and turn it into a win. And if you'd given him the black side of this, he would have won that. The pawn's rumbling. He's using the rook on the light squares here. The king comes in. He's about to mate. So the king sidesteps. King b7. The red carpet rolled out. This is much better than the Oscars. I'm sure you'll agree. Look at the pawn go. And here we see resignation from Daniel. What to do? That pawn's just running. You know, c7. You can give up the bishop. This is, of course, a lost endgame. I'm pretty sure Magnus knows his rook and king checkmate. Absolutely love this stuff. Unreal. If you want to see another incredible Magnus Carlsen game with another stupid opening, have a look at the video on screen. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Cheers.